We're playing Snake in Runescape, moving around the map, one chunk at a time. We have an hour to complete as many challenges as we can, before the Snake is going to randomly move forward, left or right. If we complete all the challenges in a chunk before time is up, the Snake grows, giving us more area to play in. Join me as we work towards the first goal of the account, unlocking the Champions Guild. This is SnakeScape.
Welcome back to the Isle of Souls dungeon, with the head of the snake here and the tail of the snake going back around the left side of the island, around the top. In the last episode, we explored the outside of this island and we were able to complete one of the chunks. And there's an upcoming chunk which is guaranteed to be completed, so we have that to look forward to. In the Isle of Souls dungeon, there's quite a few best in slot upgrades for us, mainly coming from the chest with the axe, but also coming from the fire giants for a rune scimitar. Now, the chest down there is going to be a pain in the arse to use, but we have at least 6 hours of trying, so I'm really hopeful that we're going to be able to get something good out of it. The direction of the snake is guaranteed for the next 2 hours, so you'll see a little thing pop up where we go in the next 2 hours, and I'm really hoping that we can get these drops sooner rather than later. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's try out the Isle of Souls dungeon. In the Isle of Souls dungeon, there is probably the most annoying chest in the entirety of RuneScape. Not because it's hard to get to or because of any particular difficulty of opening it, but because it has a chance to teleport you away. With only 40 thieving and no lockpick, I only have about a 1 in 3 chance of getting into the chest, and a 2/3 chance of failing it. And whenever you fail this chest, there's a 1 in 6 chance that you get teleported out the cave. So what that means is that on average, for every 3 times I can get the chest open, I'm going to get teleported out of the cave. And each time I get teleported out of the cave, I have to run back in and run past dragons. These dragons are very dangerous, especially the iron dragons if you overstep your mark. As I have no anti-fire protection, their fire attack can straight up just do 50 damage to me, which is as close as it gets to a 1 hit. So, in these next few hours, I'm going to have to continuously run through the dungeon, try and get to the chest, try to not die, and hopefully we can get the 1 in 30 drop of the axe. Once we finish that, then we're going to move on to the fire giants, and try and get the 1 in 128 rune scimitar. So, let's just try it out. Well, I really don't know how this is going to go, as we don't have any anti-fire protection. So I know their max hit will be well over a 50. But we're going to give it a try nonetheless. Let's start the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's get in here and try and run past everything. I'm going to put up some protection prayers when we go past the dragons. The first room, I believe, is pretty safe because it's just got greater and lesser demons, so we can just run past. This is a safe spot here, which I'll be able to use later to kill the fire giants, so I can stand just here and kill this fire giant. But this is the room that I'm worried about. Let's sprint past. Don't die, 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 don't die. Okay, cool. And, okay, well, we managed to make it on our first attempt without taking too much damage. I think the trick is to get one of the baby blue dragons to aggro on you, and then as you run through, you won't be able to be hit by the big ones. But let's try picklocking this chest and see if we can get in. At level 46, I only have like a 30% chance of getting into it, but we can give it a shot nonetheless. As I said before, you have a 1 in 6 chance every time you fail to get ejected from the cave. So let's see how many successful tries we can get each one. There's 47 thieving. This should be pretty good thieving XP. We're looking for a 1 in 33. If we can get any of the dark keys, which are the 1 in 200s, that'd be pretty good. But I highly doubt we'll get that. Ooh, okay. There's a mithril pickaxe, not quite what we're looking for. And there's a teleport. Okay, so we were able to do 4 minutes the first try. Let's get back in there and try and not die. I think it's a real shame, but I'm going to have to drop a lot of this stuff. Some really good things, which if we had the bank, which we will have access to potentially in 2 or 3 hours, then I'd hold on to them. Unfortunately, I just don't have a high enough crafting level to utilize these gems. It is something that I've really wanted to train up, but we can't do it right now. Oh, no. Oh, I misclicked and I almost went right next to the Iron Dragons. That would have ended really badly. Oh, and first try we get teleported. Perfect. This is going to be a long few hours, I bet. While I wait for my run to regen, I'm going to do a few kills of fire giants, because I do not want to run out of run when I'm going past the dragons over there. Ooh, and that's a combat task completed. That's my first combat task on the account. That's hilarious. Okay, let's give a go at more of these chests. Okay, there's my second mithril pickaxe, which has the same drop rate as the axe. We're currently on rate to getting maybe 80 chests an hour. The main problem is the teleporting and the fact that I run out of run energy after a few tries. So I'm going to have to go back to doing some range while I wait. Because there is technically a way of getting a rune axe in these chunks as well, which would be to get the dark key and then use the dark key in the crumbling tower's basement. But that's a 1 in 40, and those keys are a 1 in 200 from this chest. And I'm no Sakus. I am not going to spend hundreds of thousands of hours doing the chest to try and get stuff out of there. I think once I've got the mithril axe, I will move on to better things, like getting the rune scimitar. Oh, that just hit 11. Holy crap. Yes, there we go. Ah, mithril axe. Perfect. We can now drop this. There's nothing really else on this drop table that's worth going for. At least at the moment, when I don't have a bank. Oh, that took... We just went 36, so it was almost exactly on rate. I'm actually going to use this to get out, because I really don't feel like running past the dragons. Okay, well, that's one of the 2 things from the dungeon that I need. I just now need to get the rune scimitar, which will be a best in slot upgrade. This axe is incredible. It's going to make everything so much faster. Now, if we can get the rune sim in this hour as well, then that will just be perfect, because then we can get back to doing some woodcutting with the teaks, as they are really good XP. Man, I'm so incredibly glad that we kind of went on rate for the axe. With only a 30% chance of getting it right each time, that meant that we were only kind of on rate for getting 3 rolls every time we get teleported out. And I think I was just incredibly lucky on that. Bloody hell, I need to be careful. Wow, I just got hit for back-to-back 11s. This is rough. You're kidding me. Okay, thanks game. Thanks for that one. Tooth half of key. How rare is that again? Okay, it's a 1 in 500, which is less bad than I thought. Slightly worse than a long bone. We're getting a kill about every 2 minutes at the moment, I want to say. Which means to go on rate, we're going to need to do this for about 4 hours. Oh, it's going to be a long 4 hours, I'll tell you that much. I'm really tempted to put my axe on and run back up to the teak tree to just try it out for a little bit, but I know I shouldn't. This rune scimitar will be a massive upgrade, so I really need to focus on it. And that's going to be the last kill of the hour. Oh well. We haven't got it yet, but I'm so glad we have the mithril axe. It feels like such a minor upgrade. I mean, especially looking at all the stats on it, you know, it's 33% better than the steel axe, which means. But I'm thinking in terms of just how many hours I'm going to save of woodcutting. You know, the source of this is in the woodcutting guild, where they have, you know, the axe shop. So I'm thoroughly glad to have that under my belt now. Anyway. Let's move the snake forward by 1 and keep at this. So let's get back to another hour. If you're confused about what all the chunks in this area actually are used for, then I recommend going back to the beginning of the last episode where I did a quick tour of the whole of these chunks around here. But I've got more fire giants to kill, so let's get back to it. Let's start the timer and try not to die. And a genie. We're still maybe 10, 15, 20 lamps away from 30 Slayer. So if we get stuck here for a while, we'll be able to kill Pyre Fiends, which will, I believe, get us best in slot boot. And there's 66 ranged, which is just slightly more DPS. I'm really hoping we get this rune scimitar sooner rather than later. So just while I remember, I'm going to run over to the teak trees and pick up a couple of logs, just so that I can tick manipulate if I need to. Now, I'm not good at tick manipulation, I need to get better, but I'm just going to pick up some logs just so I have the opportunity to do it, especially with the mining chunk that's coming up. With that, let's move down to the next chunk. There's not that much in there that we're going to be able to use, but let's have an exploration anyway. Yep, as I remember, this chunk only has the sharks in it. I don't have a big net with me, so I can't even use this for training. And apart from that, there's nothing really here. There's some maple trees, but of course, that won't complete the chunk. We're going to have to wait till the next chunk to unlock that one. So let's walk back and get back to killing some fire giants. We're currently on 67 kills in an hour and a half, so we need another hour and a half to go on rate. I really hope we can get it before we lose access to that dungeon. Thanks game, I guess. There's a loop and tooth half of key when I am looking for a 1 in 100. Well, 1 in 128. So, well, I now have a crystal key, which is a medium task over near the Druid Ritual area, so useful to have. So we ended that hour without getting the Rune Scimitar just yet, but we can't go west out of this chunk because these trees do actually block it off, meaning that there's only one direction the snake can go for this next one, and it's down into the maple chunk. So if we unlock this one, that means that this chunk will be complete. We've just got a couple of tasks we need to do beforehand. So let's start the timer real quick. 3, 2, 1, go. So if I chop a maple tree, well, actually I need to chop 2 logs. There's 1, and there's 2. I can make a maple shield out of them. So we've chopped a maple tree, wielded a maple shield, which I have on, and then I just need to get 1 more log. There we go, that took a little bit longer than I expected. And then we use the tinderbox on it, and we've lit a maple log, meaning we have completed all of the tasks for this chunk. So let's run back up and continue with the Rune Scimitar grind, then we can jump in the chunk picker and tick it all off. We are now officially dry on the Rune Scimitar. Just killed over 130 fire giants for this 1 in 128 drop. They do drop quite a good amount of fire runes, so I have been keeping these and the rune arrows they drop. I might hold on to the bloods, but really this is all going to go if I need my inventory space for something else. Another hour and no Rune Scimitar. I've been crashed by 2 different people now, which is always fun. Let's jump in the chunk picker and extend the length of the snake by 1. Just for demonstration purposes, I've removed all the other chunks other than the one that we're currently in, and as you can see, it only has sand crabs in it, meaning we were able to burn maple logs, fletch a maple shield, and wield that maple shield, which is a best in slot for this chunk. And we can give it a green star. So if we reintroduce the snake, we can now move the snake along to the only chunk it can move to, but we don't lose access to the end one. So we now have a snake of 7 chunks long. The next chunk we roll will be a decision roll. We'll either go up into the Soul Wars lobby or west into the pottery chunk. So let's do another hour of killing fire giants and pray that we can get this Rune Scimitar sooner rather than later. As this Rune Scimitar is a higher priority than doing some mining, I'm going to stick it out here and just keep going until we either get the Rune Scimitar or we go to the Soul Wars lobby, because I would rather do Soul Wars than doing this. But let's keep going. Got 1 more hour to go. Let's try it. 3, 2, 1, go. And hey, we've finally got the Rune Scimitar. That is such a big upgrade. And you know what I want to use it on? I want to use it on something we've just unlocked. Let's get out of here. That was on KC 146, so we didn't go too dry for it. But now I can put my melee gear back on, because I've got something to do I haven't been wanting to do for so long, since I saw they were on this island. Over here on this beach, there are sand crabs. Oh, look at this Chad. Holy. I want to get so much defense XP now. So I'll see you guys in 50 minutes. Okay, but seriously though, we do need to do other grinds. So we need to work on our mining, which is just ahead of us. We could work on fletching with these maples, But first of all, I just want to see whether we get back to Soul Wars, because that is going to trump anything else we can do. But this has been such a big DPS upgrade, it's insane. I think it's like 30 or 40% more DPS now. And it now just beats my new short bow. Just going to work on 55 defense to bring all of these stats back up in line. And then maybe work for 60 defense, I think. I don't really know. I'm going to screw around in a DPS calculator once we hit 55 defense. There's 52 defense. It's probably the last level we're going to get in this hour, but this has been so chill. Sand crabs are incredible, especially now we have the rune scimitar. Our DPS is great. We're getting currently 27,000 XP an hour, and I need to run around every once in a while just to get them to be aggressive again. Oh, and we have a quiz. Then when it's over, we'll jump into the Champ Picker to do our 50-50 roll of going back to Soul Wars. But still we get? No, cabbage. Okay, let's jump in Champ Picker and see whether we're going back to Soul Wars or whether we're going to do more laps around the island. So I think I've ticked off all the tasks that we could do so far. Most of these are related to the dragons down in the dungeon, so we won't be able to do those for a little while. Now, with the snake facing west out of the mining chunk, we can either go forwards into the pottery chunk, or we can go north into the Soul Wars lobby. If we do go west, I think I might continue with sand crabs. I don't really know what the best use of my time will be. I have to think about it a little bit more. But if we go north, we're going to be playing 7 hours of Soul Wars, no matter what direction we go. So let's see where we're going. And it is forwards. I'm going to have a look at what we can do here. I'm going to get rid of this chunk, and then we'll jump back into the game and I'll tell you what we're going to do. So I've been sitting here thinking about it for a little bit, and this chunk that we're in with the Potter's Wheel does have access to a big fishing net, which means we could train our fishing up to get to 80. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the next 2 hours doing some more sand crabs, just because I was really enjoying it, to be honest, and it's really good defense XP. And I should be able to get myself up to 55 defense to round out my melees. Then after 2 hours, we'll know whether we're turning into Soul Wars or whether we're doing another loop of the island. So let's do that. I'll start the timer and get to doing some sand crabs. Let's go. And there is 70 combat, which we get from the defense level. Which means we can now get Slayer tasks from Sheldar if we ever end up in Zenaris, which I highly doubt. And there's 55 defense. So we're now going to swap back to strength, I think. Just round out the nice 60s, and then we don't really have to worry too much after that. Until at least we get to Barrows. So let's swap back to strength XP. We're now very, very far away from 60, so this will take a longer while. But crabs has been just such a nice break, to be honest. It's just lovely to sit here and smack some crabs for a while. So with that, we now have a roll to do. We were able to get 3/4 of the way to 56 strength, but now we have equaled out 55s of all melees, which feels very nice, very satisfying to look at, especially with the 66 range. Now, let's jump in the Champ Picker and see whether we're going to Soul Wars or whether we're going for another lap around the island. So that was a very chill 2 hours. Now, the majority of skill tasks, as I said before, are all related to this dungeon, and we could have been working on fishing, but it was nice to get our melees up, as, you know, they're always going to be helpful, especially with more PVM coming around the corner. From here, with the snake facing north, we can either go into the Isle of Souls Soul Wars lobby, or we can go for another lap. If we go left, the next 12 hours are guaranteed, as it is another lap of the same chunks as we've just done before, meaning we'll get to work on our fletchering, our fishing, and some mining as well. But of course, if we go right, it's back to Soul Wars for the next 7 hours. So let's see which direction we're going. And it's left. We lose access to the dungeon, and looks like we're going to be stuck without a bank for a lot longer. Okay, let's jump back into the game. The fact that we're not going into the Soul Wars lobby and we won't have access to a bank until we get the next Leprechaun or the next Leo means I am definitely going to be dumping a bunch of this rubbish. So we're going to have to keep going, and I think fishing is going to be our next one. Fishing and cooking side by side. But that's all going to have to wait for the next episode when we do another lap around the island. So, I will see you then. If you've liked this episode, please do consider giving it a like, and if you've really liked it, please do consider subscribing. But I'll see you then, when we're going to have another mega episode of spinning around and around. Goodbye.